Hey guys, CanadienSaintNk back with another tutorial on how to build your Storm Shield defense. Today we'll be doing Storm Shield Defense 6. Now, I did Storm Shield Defense 6 the other day and I didn't really like how the video turned out. It was super laggy. Obviously nobody enjoys that, and I want you all to hear my beautiful voice as well as detailed instructions. So for some of you who may or may not have seen me do it live, or for some of you checking it on YouTube, this is the amplifier we're going to be placing for Storm Shield Defense 6. This is amplifier E. We're going to place it after amplifier D down in the lava pit. Now, a lot of you go and place amplifier E really early on, and for those of you who have been diligently watching, this is going to be a really good tutorial for you to watch. Even if you've placed this one earlier, this is still one of the best builds for amplifier E in the game. And as far as amplifiers go, I'd say it's probably one of the more simple ones to defend. Not necessarily easy, especially if you're going to take this in Twine Peak Storm Shield Defense 9, 10, because it's going to get attacked as soon as you place it all the way until the end of the game. We're just going to go through the steps of building it. Oh, I want to place that back one. Now we're creating this inverted pyramid because there are a lot of smasher waves that come at this. And we're also going to create these little half walls. Oh, this has that. Just trying to remember what I did for my own. We'll get back to this little angled wall here.
Wish I could.
Right now what we're doing is we're creating a separate anchor for the roof. I found, especially on my Storm Shield Defense, I think it was 7, they absolutely wrecked the roof. Granted, I was playing an urban assault, so even though I had high smasher damage or high single target damage, I just wasn't able to keep up with the smashers. Keep in mind I was using legacy weapons though. If you have fully legendary weapons and you're using an urban assault, let's say they're 130, you're probably going to be able to melt smashers a lot better than I did. As far as the amplifier itself goes, we're going to create a very generic defense. We're going to create all this to level 3, but for the purpose of this video I'm going to take it to level 2. Just so you know kind of how many resources to use. Now I did start with a full stack of metal, stone, obviously wood, it's still full right now. So by the end of this you should know at least half of the resources it takes, so while collecting these you can kind of estimate and farm up a little bit before getting into build it. A lot of my builds will use a lot of resources in general, simply because I'm building this all as if you were going to solo Twine Peak Storm Shield Defense 8, 9, 10. And obviously that's probably one of the more challenging difficulties in the game, so we're going to do our best to build them up as best as we can. I'm going to put these stairs here. But I'll get back to why we're putting those there as well. Just kind of streamline this a little bit. That out of stone, and these 2 out of metal, and then these 2 out of stone. We're alternating our materials. Some of you who are familiar with my Storm Shield Defense tutorials, you'll know that I alternate materials when using barriers. So like, let's say if we get a water smasher wave, then yeah, they would view this as less than a wood wall, so they just smash against it, and if there's a stone wall against this, they'd smash against that, and then further and further. But if you alternate like this, you create a little bit of a de-proxy or de-aggro to the smashers, and they'll just end up walking around it through the trap tunnel itself, which is obviously much more beneficial. and much preferred.
Here?
Gonna get to placing some of these traps in a moment here. I just want to build up the... Oops, that's not what I wanted on the bottom there. I just want to build up all the structure itself. Now with this floor here, they can't actually walk up it, but if you were to take the floor away, they can walk up it. So by adding this floor, it's like adding another wall in between them and the base. Now I'm doing it all in metal just because metal provides the strongest defense and therefore the strongest proxy, or D-proxy if you will, whatever you want to call it. So even if we do get a Nature Smasher wave, odds are they're not going to be like, you know what, Nature Smasher, metal's my strong suit, so I'm just going to beat against it. Nah, they're going to be like, you know what, these are 4 fully upgraded metal walls right on this. I can't touch this, because again, we have the metal wall, floor, stairs, and at the very least, 1 metal wall either on the north side or the east side of where they want to break through. Even if they want to go through the west side here and come through this stone wall, it'd be more difficult. Not that they ever would. Now we can put a metal wall here, but for now I'm going to make that much more appropriate. Let's see if this first... Nope. When you first spawn into this area... Oh, this is bad. When you first spawn into this area, this lava bomb that drops over here will sometimes drop right on this area, all over here. But every time after that, it's nothing. You could literally build all the way out to here and it would still be nothing, kind of thing. So it's not a problem. Just come out here, let that first lava bomb proxy. You'll see the circle come all the way out to probably about here. Yeah, that'll probably be the extent of the circle, and obviously it'll prevent you from building these 2 squares, and probably as far back as over here. That's usually about the range of the meteor when it usually lands in the center here. But obviously it'll destroy the squares around it. I love these corner pieces and their little points. Now for the sake of this, we're actually going to block this off. And this is the reason why you want to get that first meteor to proxy. Word of the day is proxy. Yeah, so that you can build this little barricade over on that side. Right. Like so. Doesn't seem appropriate because we want to prevent them from beating against it and then walking up. But also want to prevent them from beating against it and then walking around to this side path. So I think for now we're just going to go like this. I know I did have it differently set up on mine. I just can't remember what it was for the life of me.
You serious?
That's okay. That's why I also have a Storm Shield Defense 10 walkthrough where I detail it all. Very, very detailed, and it's just you can't see it being built right in front of you, so if you're trying to go piece by piece and you want to slow this down so you get the hang of it, Storm Shield Defense 10 walkthrough probably isn't your best bet, but that is also why I've made these videos.
Sorry.
Again, the meteor's been dropping. You see it still holds over on this side, so we're just going to upgrade it. And it'll be the same way over here as with the ledge that we just talked about up there. If you place that little floor piece on the bottom here, you'll stop them. You'll create another wall in front of them. It's a nice, easy wall to place. Obviously, it's just a floor piece. Prevents them from going in. If you really want to be a deterrent, I would say put a wall launcher on the second wall right here. Simply because if you put a wall launcher right here, where they're going to spawn is going to be right about here. You might get a few people spawning over here on this lava crack. Obviously there's meteor over here, and then they're going to spawn all the way probably about to here, edge of the grasslands, and a lot of them are going to be funneling over here, and a lot of them are going to come up this way and come around. But a vast majority of the spawn, probably about 50% of it at least, are going to come up this way. So if you put a wall launcher here and you get a kill wave, the kill wave is going to take forever because they're all just going to be sandwiching onto this ledge and coming forward. And while the wall launcher can be good for clearing that little bit of a sandwich, especially if there's propanes and you notice, like, if you notice that your propanes are really getting jammed up around this corner, you can put a wall launcher there, just kind of thin the herd and let them come through at their own pace. But you're going to want to really focus on durability on your wall launchers at that point, because you're going to add about 5 or 6 minutes onto your defense itself. Now, when I did my Storm Shield Defense 6 through 10, 99% of my traps were legacy traps, and by legacy I mean they were these old traps that obviously there's their wall launchers. They don't have 6 perks like other legendary wall launchers do. Or new wall launchers do, as you can see from my non-legacy traps. So these are legacy, these are the old versions of the traps. As far as pure stats go, they are in fact inferior to 106s. Granted, my 106s have 3 impact and knockback on them, fully legendary, whereas my old traps only have 2 and triple reload. Again, I use legacy wall launchers. If you're going to use wall launchers that have 3 impact, knockback, double reload like my own, what you're going to find is they're going to go back 3, maybe 3.5 squares. So you could actually extend these to about here, and I would recommend extending these on Storm Shield Defense 9 at the earliest. I wouldn't really recommend it for 8. Simply because 8's going to be kind of your first challenge, as well as when probably most of these traps are going to run out. Because we're placing this on Storm Shield Defense 6, you're probably not going to have an abundance of tier 5 materials. Maybe you got some oxidized, maybe you got some efficient mechanical parts, maybe you even have some carved twine for some wooden floor spikes at 130. Whatever the case may be, you're probably not going to have enough to where you could fully kit out your defenses. So 106s are probably what you're going to be using, and if you have them fully legendary or even purple perked up, those are more than good enough. Those will stack up just fine all the way till 8, and hopefully by 8 they'll also run out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put some of my fully legendary ones on the wall here, and then we're going to be putting some dynamos here. Now, I talked earlier about not jamming the enemy up on these squares. So you want to be careful about putting a wall launcher here and then jamming them up on this square where 50% of the wave is going to come through. If the propanes can't move forward, they're going to throw it at their feet, and so you don't want that. So you want to jam it up as little as possible. As far as floor spikes go, I do notice a big difference between these 106 legendary floor spikes and an epic version of floor spikes. Let's say they go to 91 or whatever. Maybe there's some kind of debuff now in the game, where if their power level is not high enough compared to the zombie, they slow at a much more deteriorated effect. But I've really recently been noticing that the 106 floor spikes are slowing a lot better than they used to be. Well, I mean, probably about comparable to what they used to be, because I always use 106, or if I was on my Storm Shield Defense 10, I actually use these 130 floor spikes. You could tell they're still legacy rolls. But compared to some of my friends' epic versions of floor spikes, I noticed the slowing effect night and day. So I would recommend 106 floor spikes if you have them. It's a little bit of a resource drain, I'm not gonna lie.
Wish I could.
You really can't underestimate the fact of just slowing down your enemies and giving your traps time to reload. Now, because we're doing this for Storm Shield Defense 6, I'm going to use 106 gas traps. Now, my 106 gas traps have fully blue perked out, rare perked out, whatever you want to call it. Crit rating, crit damage, durability, which I still haven't changed to effect duration. I would put effect duration there. Durability also works. It doesn't really matter on gas traps, because if a gas trap ever really uses up its full durability, you'll probably go through about 3 storm shield defenses before it really gets through all the natural uses on it. Like, these don't have any durability on them, just effect duration, and they still have 53 durability. 53 uses, guys. That's crazy, because they take 8 seconds to reload. That's a lot of time in the middle of a wave, and that's a lot of time you don't necessarily have. But because this is Storm Shield Defense 6, these 106s probably absolutely fine. Now, the reason why I layer my tunnel like this is taking full advantage of the 3 square launch. Enemies will walk through here. They'll be launched through this square faster than these traps can activate, and then land over here, probably right about where I'm standing. So that electric field, it's still going to go off because it's still red zombie coming through here. And this is kind of like the hole in the game right now with wall launchers and floor launchers. They don't really have enough built into the game to really take advantage of these extra squares that they're launching them now. Now, before, they would only be launched this far if you had a 130 legacy trap. That was the max you could have to have that kind of impact knockback to knock them back 3 squares. But now we're going to see a lot more with the 106s fully legendary like this, not knocking them back 3 squares. There's going to be a lot of complaints of knocking creatures over basements in basic missions instead of you know, just the simple knock over 1 square down into the basement, no problem. Now they're going to be knocked over the basement and then come back around to your base, and then it's going to be a whole issue. But for now, they'll be knocked over here. The electric field will go off, still hit them. The wall dynamos can actually hit them if they're kind of close to the square, and then they'll be hit by everything under here. So if they're sitting underneath this gas trap as they get up off their feet and then slowly walk off under these floor spikes, you know, this is the point of damage where you want those gas traps where they're going to be sitting underneath. You can put a gas trap here so that it'll fire off, and then as they're walking back through it, you can have it there. I generally just put an electric field so it hits everything walking through right here, as well as anything over here. And the electric fields have a quicker reload speed at 6 seconds than the gas traps at 8. So generally, it's just a overall nice trap. I mean, if you use heavy base here, you're getting plus 30% trap reload speed, so it's firing off every 4 seconds. It creates a nice little buffer for the smaller zombies as well. If you get a water wave, it'll deal really good damage to water smashers. Now, I use the double crit rating, double crit damage, and durability on these. Obviously, I can't stick effect duration for that last perk on electric fields because it doesn't have an effect to durate, if you will. But the durability is fine. It's probably one of the better perks you could put on it. You really don't need to heal your ceilings over time, so that's kind of useless. You don't need to add health to the ceilings. That's kind of useless. It would be nice if they added maybe another damage perk or even a reload speed to that last slot. But for now, we're going to stick with durability. More than enough. Obviously, you see the damage, 42,434 if it crits. It'll crit a lot more than the 46% it leads on to, especially because it fires off in a 3x3 tile radius. It's going to hit, you know, enemies right here as far as here, as well as enemies over here as far as here. So it's got some range. Of course, it'll hit anything underneath it as well. And the range is kind of what we want to take advantage of. Now on this end part, I'm going to put a wall dart here. And the reason why I put a wall dart here instead of a wall dynamo is because I use fully legendary wall dynamos and they have a lot of impact. And if you stagger them on this square, what'll happen is the wall launcher will fire off, but it won't actually throw them back, which is a big problem if you have like a fully, like you can't help it. One time there's going to be a smasher who's going to get to the end of this tunnel and he's not going to be hit by any traps. You know, the gas traps are going to be on like full cooldown. The floor spikes probably deal negligible amounts of damage already, even though they're slowing them, but he'll walk through everything and he'll be like the little engine that could, if you will. And he'll get to this spot, and then this dynamo is going to fire off before this wall launcher, and then it's going to stagger him. even though it does, you know, great damage, and we want that damage, even with the gas trap, but it's going to do so much damage, it's going to stagger him, that this wall launch is going to go off, and it's not going to be able to throw him back here. And it's going to be an absolute pain in the neck to get rid of, because it's just going to come up here. And even though there is going to be a lot of damage up here, guys, tongue-tied a little bit here, guys, you want to get rid of as many zombies as possible in this tunnel. Now that doesn't mean come down and start shooting guns blazing in here. There's going to be propanes probably about every other wave at this point, coming from this amplifier, so really take that into account when defending it. Stay back, let your trap tunnel do most of the work, and we'll go from there, right? Now up here, again, sometimes smashers will beat against that. This little ledge, despite making it 4 walls, we can't really help that. You can, oops. You could add another wall dart here. Add another wall dart here. Now wall darts have quicker reload speed than the wall dynamos. If you're watching all the way up to Storm Shield Defense 6 tutorial here, you probably know that the wall dynamos have atrocious reload speed compared to the wall darts. But once we get up to this higher tier, that's when we want to start putting triple dynamos, because the only thing that's going to get up here is the smashers. And that's why it's important to get rid of as many zombies down here, because if the propanes detonate, or if, you know, your trap tunnel's defunct, or if you don't have enough durability on your wall launches and they run out mid-wave, and they start coming up here, these trap tunnels, they won't be set up to take care of hordes of masses. Like we have ceiling zappers here, right? Now if you're playing like a dragon ninja, where you're really good at crowd control effect, not a bad choice, honestly speaking. Sorry, just improvising a little bit here. I didn't put a retractable floor spike on mine, but I'm just thinking here, you know, you don't really need the slow effect on this corner, even though we're going to be placing a gas trap here. Just some extra damage with the impact from the Dynamo here, as well as the wall dart on the back, dealing some extra damage. We don't have to worry about holding them here, and it's not like we can, even if we put a wall launcher here or anything. We're going to be holding them here as much as possible. Might as well just deal as much damage with the stagger effect from the retractables. It'll be comparable to a floor spike anyways. Now right on here, I put ceiling drop traps when I did mine. Now the drop trap damage is absolutely terrible for what it is. It does drop, you know, 7 to 8 tires. It does affect a wide variety of zones, and if you drop it from a higher point, the damage does increase. But generally, if they drop from a higher zone, by the time they reach the ground, the enemy's already out of the square itself. It's kind of a pointless trap, if I'm being honest with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some more gas trap there. Even though we don't have like a clear-cut edge, by the time the smashers get about halfway up the hill, they'll be tall enough to aggro this, maybe even a third of the way up. So if they really get caught in this wall launcher and they're tossed over here, or even blasters, that's still going to affect them, so it's not a big deal. Now this back one, also very simple. We have a 2x2 here. You do have the room to make a 3x3 area. However, I would not recommend it, because if you make it too long, what'll happen is the smashers will be flown all the way back, and they'll have this option of the base being on the other side here, or just walking back 3 squares back around to hit a base that they could already hit, right? Even if you put a wall in front of them here, they won't necessarily attack it anyways. So making this 3 squares isn't always the best, especially because you can't really combo that much damage on the last square anyways. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to make it 2x2s, put some dynamos, some ceiling zappers. Now I did recently get my ceiling zappers all the way till legendary. I've still got more than enough legacy traps here, so I'm going to take advantage of that, use some of them up here. They were perfectly fine all the way up until Storm Shield Defense 10 even. So I have no qualms about using my legacy ones. If you have like full blue perks on your ceiling zappers, comparable to mine, again, those double crit rating, double crit damage that I like so much on my traps, you'll probably be absolutely fine in your defenses. Don't be worried about it too much. Now I'm gonna put 2 floor launchers here as well as a wall dynamo. What'll end up happening is there'll be flinger waves from time to time. They're gonna throw them over. They're gonna land on the roof, and they're gonna see 2 squares around no matter where they hit against, because again we put these little walls in here, and that's also why we're gonna put some more little walls in here. But I have to leave it open on one. No, I remember what I did, I think. I don't know, I had a really complicated setup for this one. I think I just left it as a level 1 deterrent. But I also put something here so they couldn't just walk around. I think I just did a little long skinny wall. I'll have to look at my walkthrough again. And by that I mean I'll probably look at it like 12 days from now, because procrastinating sometimes is not a bad thing. Yeah, so this'll stop zombies from walking up and around, because they can't actually walk onto this and then onto this. So what they'll do is they'll just attack this and then try to get through that. Now, I'd recommend putting these to level 3 and then these to level 2. If you want some extra protection, because sometimes the zombies don't necessarily go all the way around when the flinger tosses them on top of the base. I'll tell you how to make them go all the way around, but sometimes they still don't, right? So it's unavoidable. Just put some wall dynamos on it. Even put some wall dynamos there. But all you want to do to make them come all the way around, this is going to be your position right here, FYI. You're going to stand here and you're just going to shoot, and that'll draw all the zombies down and around and aggro it onto you. It might take a little bit, mind you, but not long enough where they won't actually come back and start attacking the base itself again. So they're not going to destroy anything unless they're super determined, or if your positioning was off, or if you're not shooting properly. Like if you're shooting off into the distance like this, the bullet's not going to hit anything nearby them, so they're not going to be aggroed. So that's why you saw me shooting at the ground, shooting at the walls. I mean, if you really want to draw their aggro, shoot closer to them, and that'll drop them down. If you're really angry about it, you could create a jump pad, and then, you know, launch yourself on top here and then just take them out ninja style. Whatever pleases you, you know? It's not a big deal. As far as this side goes, what I did on my Storm Shield Defense 7 and 6, I blocked this off, and it worked for 6. It didn't work so well for 7. I got a lot of smashers on 7. I figured that if I blocked it off, they would go all the way around, so that never really happened, and I ended up dealing with a whole bunch of water smashers. Oops, I don't want to put that there. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to fully kit it out. Now, I put this little extra beam here because if they come up, they're going to be coming up here, which isn't too far for them to path there. It's just as far pretty much for them to path here. And if they path over here, it's the more deadly tunnel anyways, so it's not a problem if they go over that way. And if they path all the way around to here, they're already in front of the tunnel, so there's really no harm in putting this here. Just to be safe in case of propane's, like, you know, really feeling blown up some things. I'm gonna add that little square on the end here, right here. Just for the added deterrent, just so they're not like, okay, I'm gonna blow this up, because if they blow that up, then they have to blow up like 2 more walls, 3 more walls, just to get to a tunnel that they could have just walked to in the meantime, kind of thing, right? So that's the added deterrent we're gonna be adding to that tunnel. You could do the exact same on the main tunnel over there if you're worried, you know, you've extended it too far. Just to be safe, you can absolutely add like so. Not a problem. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could add some wall darts in the middle there just to hit them as they come up to this main path, but that's just a waste of structures at that point. That's not really what I do. I mean, I do use a lot of structures. I won't say I use little. I still If I had fully legendary traps at the time of my Storm Shield Defense 9, 10, etc., I probably could have used about half the resources, and I'm still not used to the legendary traps. I'm not used to the damage they'll deal to smashers, propanes, husky husks, etc. So I really want to kind of hammer that out one day, but for now the best I could give you guys is just how I did it with legacy traps. This is probably overkill, to be honest with you. But you want to be safer than sorry, because some of those smashers are going to be 132, 140 on Storm Shield Defense 9 and 10. It's going to be tough. Mainly Storm Shield Defense 10, if you build this as your amplifier E, will have flingers and lobbers. So you don't really have to worry too much about smashers at that point. But you're going to find smashers on Storm Shield Defense 8 and 9 to be quite troublesome. So now that we have that side tunnel set up and the south is all but finished, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to add a lobber shield. Now we don't have to worry about extending the lobber shield to the southwest there over the tunnel we had just built, mainly because if you're not standing in it, they won't target it. It's not part of the main defense. It's not, strictly speaking, as far as they could throw towards the base. Oh, I ran out of metal. So you don't have to worry about it. So, like, this base is technically attached to the storm shield itself. So we're going to find a lot of lobbers are going to be throwing it at this itself to try and get as close to the base as possible. Maybe even throw some zombies on top of it that'll walk across here. That's another thing you want to do is go like so. Now, while I have all this stone in my inventory, I'm going to put some walls here. Now I'm going to go re-up on my metal. It's something I usually do right away when I run out of metal, but I wanted to put those last few stone walls in there. Just in case I want to grab more stone. Not that I'll need it at this point, but just in case. With all the duplicators in the game recently, I haven't been able to re-up on a lot of resources. So if you've watched my previous tutorial videos, you'll see, you know, I usually carry a lot of traps, and I guess I'm still carrying a lot of traps considering most people's inventory, but for me it's kind of low. Normally I have a couple stacks, or at least one stack of each, and especially my wall dynamos I've been a little bit lacking on since I did my amplifier D walkthrough that used 120 wall dynamos alone. So that was a pretty expensive crafting material adventure. But at least I didn't use as much metal as we did for Amplifier C down in the crater over there, which some people are reporting using upwards of 18,000 metal. So it's hefty, but it's been effective for them, and I'm happy they like my builds. I have given them some tips on lessening some resources here and there, but for the most part, safer is better than sorry, right?
Let's see.
Now we're going to build a little partition here so that they don't come around and completely negate the effects of the trap tunnel. Now we do have this little square on the end. That's the little 4x4 square that we created that will stop them from coming up. If you want to be safe and not sorry, we have added that wall launcher on the backside as well, even if they do break against this. Oops, I had to take that to level 3. But we're just gonna add another little layer with wall launchers here, especially for the lobbers in case they get any weird ideas and start throwing them off to the side here. We see our lobber partition up top, really prevents them from going around. As well with this, we're gonna see them prevented from coming back around this side, so what'll end up happening is they'll walk around because they don't want to beat against any of these walls, and they'll come in through here. If you really wanted to focus where they come from, you could actually knock down this wall here, and then prevent yourself from building that square. You'll have more than enough to deal with the wave. I'm gonna knock this down actually. So even if they come through here, or even if you leave this block up, they could just come through here. You got more than enough to deal with whatever wave's coming, because again, the waves all being siphon through here. I wouldn't say jam, just jam's not proper word, and makes you think propanes are going to explode at that point. But you get a lot of smashers, and the smashers will be the only thing that makes it up here if your tunnel stays intact. So having a few flinger zombies come around through there, not a problem. That's why I leave this open. If they want to come around through here, not a problem. And I add a little bit of extra defense here. Floor. I'm making this out of stone because if they get through that long tunnel, then they're probably nature damage and super powerful. Because nature damage for some reason just has super crazy resistance, even though those are gas traps in there, and reason would have it, you know, maybe those are probably water smashers that are making it through, but oftentimes it'll just be nature. Not that water smashers can't make it through, but they'd have to have some extraordinary luck, especially with these double wall dynamos on the end. This is why we didn't add the wall darts to the end, just because whatever makes it to these last two, probably going to be the big guys, smashers, maybe a few propane tanks. So it's not a big deal to have extra damage on the end. Now, just to be safe, and of course not sorry, we're going to put a stone brick wall right here. It doesn't need to be level 3, keep it level 1. It just balances the roof out here. As well, if you wanted to, put a couple there. I think this is where I put my base, if I remember right. Yeah, because this would have been the end of the tunnel there. This is where I put my base. It's nice and secure. Didn't have a problem with it. I could go sit in the back tunnel there before that I was talking about and shoot them all. And it covered both trap tunnels, which is obviously the biggest key. This floor piece isn't really necessary unless you really want that jump pad on the top. Now, as far as defenses to the east go here, pretty straightforward. They can't actually come up here, but they can come up here. I'm gonna make these out of steel. See, I'm not entirely sure they can't just spawn right here. And they could just spawn on top of this cliff. They could spawn down by H. I'm not entirely sure of this spawn. But I'm just going to show you what I did for this side. If you're putting your amplifiers down like I did, you don't need to build towards the east here. Now I made these a whole bunch of gas rooms, which is my little 1x1 rooms. But because, oh, I did this backwards. Because these are, all the zombies would be coming up from right here. You know what, I'm just gonna make these gas rooms anyways, because I'm pretty sure that they would drop down from the cliff to the north east. Yeah, just over here. Drop down. If they drop down, they'd be dropping down over there and then coming around here, unless we didn't block that tunnel off. But I'm gonna be blocking it off because I don't like them coming through this way. It's not that I dislike the tunnel itself, it's just you could save more resources because you have to build up that long side anyways. Okay. I'm gonna put some ceiling zappers on the end. And then we're gonna create some gas rooms. These are my all famous 1x1 squares of gas rooms. I call them 1x1s because they're not 2x2s. Gotta alternate your wall launchers. For the wall dynamos. Put retractables there. And then wooden floor spikes. Just like so. That's right. And the whole goal is you knock the wall launch, or the wall launcher knocks them into these wall dynamos, which is behind the little crevice wall here, and then they have to walk around underneath the gas trap to get out of it. And the gas traps can be dealing more damage than your wall dynamos and more damage than any other trap you could actually put on there. And it'll just keep them there for so long. And if you have the double reload speed fully legendary like I do on my wall launchers, which is max reload speed on wall launchers, oh, I didn't want to put that to level 3. Obviously, you would want to put everything to level 3. But if you have, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. If you have those full legendary reload speeds on your wall launcher, what can end up happening with these nice 106 floor spikes is they get knocked back, and they're actually underneath so long that by the time they get back up and come back towards this, the wall launcher will actually fire off again and keep them in here. So you're actually backing up the wave considerably. Now, because I never defended this side in time before they attacked from the east here, even though I built this as my second last amplifier, I don't really know if there are any propane tanks. So if there are, I'd imagine you want to get rid of these. And then probably do the same thing we talked about on amplifier C, where you want to lengthen these. They're still technically my little gas rooms. It's just they're propane, well, they're storm shield propane made, if you will. Just so where they come down, they're going to be coming down the center now. This is going to be their path if they want to get through the tunnel. And if the wall launcher fires off and proxies them, it's gonna keep probably about 15% of them on the square, and that'll be the 15% that are like really on the back square here that come through. But it won't mess with the pathing of any other zombies, right? Like, they're not going to get jammed up on the center square because everybody's knocked up over here. But if we go with these little half walls that take up half the square, their pathing is now completely different, right? They can't just take a straight line to the amplifier, which in this case is amplifier E, not G, as we see so clearly in the distance. They have to go through here, and then they have to come around here. So if the wall launcher knocks somebody back here, they're still in the path of other zombies, and they could create a little bit of a jam. So if there are a lot of zombies and there are a lot of propanes, this is what you want to do. Create. I'll go to this end because you can't really see through the lettering there. But you just want to create a pathway for them, if you will. And that's just the basics of the gas room. Now we got the side block. You want to create these to level 3 just in case. Well, anything really. Smashers, propanes. Oh, that's unfortunate. Won't let me upgrade through the stairs. Okay, now as far as Storm Shield Defense 6 goes, that is the complete build. You don't have to worry about attacks from the north. Oh, sorry, the west here. Obviously, you don't have to worry about attacks to the north either, because amplifier A is over there. Canada's favorite amplifier, if you will. But we don't have to worry about attacks from the north or the west, especially because we placed the western amplifier down in the lava pit, but there's not a wave that could spawn over there that could get to here, because there is a giant cliffside, and there's no way up from this cliffside. So if they were going to attack from the west, it would just come through this tunnel anyways, and obviously that's already trapped out, so you don't have to worry about it. Not that they attack from the west anyways, so I'm just rambling. But things to watch out for on these missions: don't jam your tunnels up. So you notice I have these walls, and the only partition I put is on this very last one. That's because this one is so strewn that they have to get up this hill. So even if they get knocked back all the way here, if they want to get up the hill, I know amplifier G is again in the way, but you see the hill right there, like I'm shooting the hill. You could see the hill over here. I'm still shooting the hill. You still can't really. It's close enough where they just have to walk across and then down and then over. That's their proxy. It's going to toss them all the way back the wall launcher, because if they're entering this square, it's from here. So if the wall launcher fires off, they're going to be flung back along this axis. They're close enough where the wall dart will still fire off. Everything's in harmony per se. But if you were to put a wall partition here and they're tossed back all the way here, the closest to the, can't really tell because the wall dart's in the way. That's a nice little visual. But the cliff there is about here. Like, they have to go up that cliff if they want to get to the amplifier. They have to go up this cliff. There's no doubt about it, right? So if they want to get around it, they have to walk that distance, but it could be so congested with enemies on this first square, because again, this is the first square that we're going to be congesting them on, where they might toss it at their feet if you know, they get too jammed up, or they might just toss it in the back of this tunnel because they're viewing it as too far away to walk, because they have to walk two and a half squares, and then 2 squares this way, and then another 2 squares this way. So they're like, you know what, maybe we'll just eliminate these 2 squares over here with the propane tank. And obviously if there are other dead propane tanks in there already, you're going to lose your trap tunnel, because it only takes about 2 propanes to destroy a full level metal wall at Storm Shield Defense 8, where there are 106 enemies. So these are things you want to be careful of. Again, we're going to be placing our base right here if you want to solo this on higher difficulties. As far as defenses go, I think you're all but set. An important note to build this anchor on the top if you get overrun by smashers, because your traps might not be up to level. This anchor is attached to this cliff here, and we brought it all the way down into the base, attached to the roof. Oh, that's something I forgot. Good thing I'm reviewing, guys. The whole reason that it's attached to this side as well as each little individual angled wall here is because smashers will destroy the ground level first, and then they'll go around, and because these are angled walls, they're not exactly hard to destroy for the smasher because we can't trap them out, right? But if we created not angled walls, then the smashers would just charge at it, and 132, 140 smashers charging at a wall, doesn't matter if it's level 3, guys, it's going down. So we create these little angled walls to prevent them from smashing in the first place in the hopes of killing them eventually, but sometimes they might just get through. Now what I did forget to do, which I just had mentioned, is the prevention of what happens if they get through everything. And this is what happens if they get through everything. You just put a whole lot of gas traps everywhere. Now you could put ceiling zappers here, because the only thing that's going to be doing this is smashers, or if you don't have proper flinger pathing on the zombies that they toss themselves, you're going to be dealing, you know, with 3 or 4 zombies here and there. And that's why I put up gas traps, because the gas traps tend to take out little guys a lot better than larger guys. Not that they take out larger guys ineffectively, it's just you're killing them with 1,000 cuts with the gas trap. And even though 1,000 cuts is highly exaggerated, it's more like 10 cuts. Compared to zombies, that 1 cut should take them out, or if they're a husky husk, which a flinger can't even toss, so you don't have to worry about. You don't have to, I mean, that 1 cut will take out anything a flinger can toss. So if the gas trap fires off for 5 seconds and the flinger's throwing zombies over here for whatever reason they got over there, it happens. Flingers have magical pathing on Twine Peak Storm Shield defenses, guys. Don't worry about it too much. Just let them toss it, because again, you're going to be standing right over here shooting them, drawing their aggro over here, and that's actually going to be the weakest point of defense as well, because you're going to have this level 2 wall, or level 1 if you really want to keep the extra aggro proxy on that 1 square. They're going to be coming over here, and this Dynamo is going to take them out, and you're going to be standing here shooting them as they come. That's going to take them out. But if a smasher comes and they start taking out angled walls, and the walls behind them, you know, those little half walls we built, you're going to start losing your proxy, and that's when these little zombies are going to start finding holes that isn't where you're standing. And that's when they're going to start coming from weird angles that you can't see or can't defend, and that's why we have these gas traps around. But as far as coming through the top goes, they won't, which is beneficial, because I mean, everybody likes to see what's coming, so they're going to be coming on that ground level, and that's going to keep you rooted, and that's kind of the goal on this one, because there's a wide variety of zombies that come at you. You really want to stay on the level that they're attacking. You want to keep everything in front of you, if you will, or very close to in front of you. So everything's kind of geared where they're coming up towards you. Even this doorway here allows you to come out to this side more, so when they come up and around here, if they come up around here through that tunnel, you still have enough room to just get around and start shooting. They can come through there. I mean, the defense comes Storm Shield defense at 8, 9, and 10 regardless on this side. So if you're still using 106s with blue rolls, they're comparable to God roll gas traps, legacy versions. They're going to deal as much damage. So it's not bad to have 106s, but if you're going to keep them blue rolls, I would recommend taking them to 130s. If you have fully legendaries, the 106 gas traps, fully legendary, double crit chance, double crit damage, with that effect duration instead of the durability that I have on my 106s. They're comparable to like 140s. It's ridiculous the amount of damage that you could churn out with 106's fully legendary perked up. So if you have, those legendary perk up traps, use them. It's not a bad call, and you could take them all the way up to probably about Storm Shield Defense 9 at the latest. I'm not sure the difference between the 106 traps and the 130 traps on the Storm Shield Defense 10. If you have legendary perked up 106s, that is. I'm not sure how well they're going to work. I used my legacy 130 gas traps, which obviously I don't have anymore. It's the reason why I have 2 gas traps. But they did reasonably well versus 140 enemies. I really didn't notice too much of a drop off in the damage they dealt. Granted, I had relatively all around good gas traps. They weren't god rolls by any stretch, but they weren't bad by any stretch as well. They were just a little bit more focused on durability as opposed to damage. But they did have decent enough reload speed, crit chance, and crit damage where I could create my little gas rooms and still be effective with them. So it's all about knowing your traps, guys, knowing their reload speeds, and playing off them well enough so you know what you can and can't do. Again, even I had to do some testing on YouTube. I've uploaded a video of a Storm Shield Defense 9 failure. That was like I had to test out my power, see what I can and can't do to kind of get the hang of things. But once I did that, Storm Shield Defense 10 was a little bit of a breeze. But it was definitely that plateau of what can I do with the traps that I have. And at that time, I didn't have retractable floor spikes, and I needed a little bit extra damage on my amplifier C. So I petitioned a friend, and I gave him the materials to make me a big stack of 130 retractable floor spikes because I didn't have any at the time. So it's all about knowing what you can do, making those little friends. Now if you wanted to, no, everything's all set up so that the base reaches everything. Even the back of this tunnel is going to be reached with your base on the square because it's heavy base. So you go 7 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1 would be 6. So everything is going to be reached. That was 6, so that would be 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we'll even reach the first 2 gas traps there. It should probably stop on this gas trap. So heavy base is really good to use on this one. The plus 30% trap reload speed is really going to help you. Even though reload speed's kind of maxed out at are these my? Yeah, they are at 4.3 seconds. My old legacy one's at 4.9 seconds. 4.3 seconds more than enough to maintain a 2x2. They probably won't even leave the first 3x3 we created here. I know it's technically not a 3x3, it's like a 3x1 if you're being mathematically correct. But I just call them 3x3s, same as I call 2x2s, and I call my little 1x1s gas rooms. But these are optimal builds for Storm Shield Defense 6, guys, and pretty soon here I'm going to be uploading for Storm Shield Defense 7 as well. You can catch it live on Twitch or wait for the video to show up on YouTube. But I appreciate you guys watching, and if you really liked the video, like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends about it. Anything to promote the channel is appreciated. And take care, guys.